Everyone, hi and welcome to another Fondry tutorial. This is probably going to be the last one of the basic stuff before we go on to the immediate stuff. In this one it'll be basics in play, checks, saves and combat. As per usual, this video is being made in partnership with the LFG Europe community, a European prioritised time zone group to find games in that region. Start straight off jumping to the player's view of things. As I fix my screen real quick. Starting off with the player's view, to access our character sheet, there are two ways to do that. The easiest way is to double click on your token. That brings up the screen, your character sheet, and we can go from there. Alternatively, if your token is not available, you can go to your Actors tab, and your Players tab, and you should see your characters pop up here. From your Characters tab, we can do ability checks just by hovering over the title of the ability. Clicking it, a pop-up box comes up. Is it a save or an ability check? And we click the relevant option. We then get options to give advantage, disadvantage, how we want to roll it, if we want to roll it public, private or blind, and any bonuses we may need to add. Once we've rolled, it pops up into our chat box over here, and we see that was a terrible roll. Once we have a dice roller in the chat box, we can click the dice formula to see exactly what we got. And there are more functions if you add mods, but that's essentially the basics of it. Rolling other stuff works the same way. We just hover over the name, click it, and roll away. In that case, we got a 19 on a history skill check. Weapons work in a similar way, but not quite the same. There are multiple rows to work with weapons. If we click the name of the weapon, it just extends it out and gives us more options. If we just wanted a basic roll of the weapon, we click the picture of the weapon. On the chat box, we get an attack or damage, and we click whatever's relevant. We get the same pop-up boxes as well. Notice on the damage, we do get the option to add a critical hit. However, there are... Oh no, they're not. That is a mod. On the mod, you can click these buttons, and they will do separate rolls for you based on what options were clicked. You will also see that when I fired the crossbow, it did automatically consume a bolt. That is because set in the item settings, if we go over to the right hand side of the weapon, click the edit button, we can see on the details, we get all these options we can customize. They're all self-explanatory based on the title. You can see the damage formula calculation, the activation cost, which could be an action or a reaction. The weapon type, is it simple or martial? Does it require attunement? All the other proficiency and weapon properties. Spells work in much the same way as weapons. We just click the picture of it, we get our options, and it should automatically substitute a spell spot. That's the basics of rolling your character sheet there. Now let's go on to our DM view so we can roll combat. Onto our DM side of things, we have the same scene before us. If we go over to the combat tracker icon, it pops up there, but in combat we'll want to have the chat box and the combat tab open. What we can do is we can right click the tracker and it pops it out in a window like so. Drag that up to the right hand side. We then right click our NPCs in the combat and we can click on the toggle combat state. That puts them into the tracker and we can roll the initiative from here. We do have options as well for us to roll all NPCs or roll all. This includes players. However, if we jump back to our player view, when the combat tracker is initiated, we can't see the combat tracker, but we're not on it. So opening up our character sheet, we can go to our initiative in the top hand right hand side, clicking it, and it'll automatically roll and add us into the initiative too. Do that for our other character too. On our GM screen, we can see that they are also now in the combat tracker. I can right click them. I can remove the combatant, re-roll the initiative, or update it. This allows me to manually edit the roll they got. I can also set the status to hidden or defeated. We can also do that by hiding them through that button or defeating them with that button. Once everyone has rolled, we can click the begin combat, and it toggles us to the first dead person in the initiative. There is no restrictions in base Foundry, so that the players can still move around even when it's not their turn. However, we as the DM get to click through the combat order so we know whose turn it is. As we get to the end, it adds another round to the end. You can also skip rounds and go back rounds. Once our combat is over and all our enemies are defeated, we can click Mark Defeated. As a DM, when a character does make a successful hit, and they roll their damage, what we can do is select the token, hover over the box which has a damage, right click on it, and we can see we get different options. We can apply damage, apply healing, or apply double damage. For the sake of that, we'll apply the damage. Alternatively, you can do the Roll20 way, where you right click it in the box, you type the negative number in, and it automatically does the maths for you. You can use whichever way is fastest for you. Once the opponent reaches 0 health, we can mark them as defeated and end the combat. This empties the combat tracker and allows us to delete the people involved in the combat. In base Foundry, there isn't much functionality when it comes to combat. There are mods, which I'll cover in the later videos, to cover that more in depth. I hope this video was useful for you guys.